Welcome back to the Yes Fitness Longevity Podcast, where we give you insight on how to get fit, feel younger, and live better. Today, we have a special guest on board with us from all the way from California. The creator, partial creator, him and his brother created Fit42. You know that we run Fit42 out of our location, one of the special locations in the Northeast to do this. And I'd like to just bring Casey Washack on board. How are we doing, Casey?
Doing awesome, Chris. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. I know a lot of my clients have been interested in seeing you and hearing about you, and for so long now that they want to see the guy who created all this.
Well, the feeling is mutual, man. This is a really cool opportunity for me because I want to meet the people who are actually going through it and what they think about it and how it's helped them. So this is really awesome for me as well.
Yeah. So before we get all into Fit42, let me just ask a few questions about you, Casey. How did you get started in fitness, and what's your mission?
All right. So I got started in fitness. I've always been involved in sports. Right after high school, I joined the Marine Corps and really got heavy into weightlifting. I was a wrestler. And what ended up happening was my higher ups saw me involved in different sports and activities after work. And a lot of my peers were falling back into bad habits. During the Marine Corps, like boot camp, you come out like the Terminator. Like you're in great shape. But then what ends up happening is after the 90 days of boot camp, people start going back into their bad habits. Like people quit smoking for 90 days, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, they start back up. And what ends up happening, I was a machine gunner in the Marine Corps and close combat instructor. And our whole thing with being a machine gunner is you got to get to the fight. Mm-hmm. And so if my peers are falling out of shape, we're not going to be able to accomplish the mission. We won't be able to get to the fight. So what ended up happening, long story short, was my higher ups kind of forced me to start training them. And I trained myself. I didn't know what I was in sports, so I kind of took everything I knew and really they made me do this during my lunch hour. So they took away my lunch hour. So it was a punishment to me. So I made sure to punish them. So they didn't have to come. So over time, they didn't have to come back to me. And right. So, they started, meeting their requirements. They didn't have to come back. And one of my higher ups, Captain O'Shaughnessy, he said to me, he's like, you're pretty good at this. And I knew once my 4 years was up, I knew I was going to go into the civilian world. Mm-hmm. And this kind of became an option. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to punish people 3 days a week and make a living. So I really needed to learn the science behind training. And so that's what I started diving deep into. Mm-hmm. So to answer your second question, my mission is to break cycles. And what's really interesting is we can get into this if you want later, but my upbringing was pretty tough. My home life was kind of a mess. And my ultimate goal was to become a dad.
Right.
And ever since a young age, I wanted my own family to kind of right the wrongs that my parents did. And so what ended up happening was it just came to my realization through working with a coach. She said, "Why are you doing all this?" And I couldn't wrap my head around it. Couldn't give it words. And then she said, "Why are you such a good dad? Why aren't you doing what your dad did with you?" And I said, "Well, I wanted to break the cycle." And she said to me, she said, "What are you doing with Fit42?" And I was like, "Holy cow! I'm helping people break cycles." So that's my mission, is to help people break cycles. And there's a underlying meaning behind that. I want people creating experiences with their loved ones. a lot of the stuff I missed out on, I don't want people to miss out on because of how they feel about themselves. Like they sit on the sidelines on life because they're ashamed of how they look, or ashamed of maybe they get winded, so their kids end up missing out.
Right.
So my ultimate goal with people going through this process is that they say, you know what, I'm going to go play with you in the park. I'm not just going to watch you play at the park. I'm going to jump in the pool with you. And those are the things your kid's going to take with you. Because I know since missing out on that, like that's what I really wished I had.
Wow, that's something I really never knew about you, Casey. Even though we've been friends now for a bunch of years, it's not something I knew about. I really appreciate you sharing that. The time that you had with your dad, your family, your whole family life, things like that. Because family and bonding like that is so important. It's so important for people to do that, and it is difficult to change cycles, whatever the cycle might be. Even if it's trying to get up a half an hour earlier in the morning, or trying to get breakfast in your life, or quit smoking, whatever it is, to break cycles, to break habits is extremely difficult. And you guys seem to be able to find a formula in Fit42. So why don't you tell everybody what Fit42 is?
All right. So if you're not familiar with what Fit42 is, our whole goal with Fit42 is we wanted to create a 12-step program of sorts to help people get to where it is they want to go when it comes to their health and fitness. Like you said, it's really hard to break habits. And what I found, and one of the reasons Jerry and I created Fit42 was because our gym model, like people coming in 2 to 3 days a week of training with us, for some people worked great. And then other people, they needed way more. And so I'm sure, we've all gone through it as gym owners. Like we want to help people. So it's a really horrible feeling not knowing if this is really going to work for the person in front, like the person who's standing in front of you saying, you know what, Chris, I want your help. And you're like, cool, 3 days a week, let's do it. And you're like, is this going to click? Or like, what else do they need? So Fit42, we wanted to create the foundation of a lifestyle in 42 days. There's, for people who are in shape, we have all these little rituals and habits that we do daily that a lot of people who aren't in shape and who aren't currently working out or living a healthier lifestyle are missing, and they don't know that they're missing it. So that's what we really focus on in Fit42, is building these daily little habits. And the great part is on day 43 and beyond, those don't have to change. And so that was our whole point. And of course, if you start changing your whole lifestyle, results are inevitable. You're going to get results, but we didn't want it to be predicated on a number, like you have to lose this amount of weight, or you will lose this amount of weight in 6 weeks. What we wanted to make it geared towards is building the habits long term. And so it's all about that lifestyle. And so my whole concept was, for the first 6 weeks, let's focus on building these habits so that your membership or the time you spend with us after, you're gonna maximize. Because now you're eating right. We're not wasting 4 months. Like, you didn't sign up to my gym to do 3 days a week, and we find out 4 months when you're so frustrated, like that you're not eating breakfast, that you're not sleeping enough, that your friends are holding you back and they're pulling you in the wrong direction. So we do this at the front, so that if you decide to stay or not, you still have the tools to be successful.
What we've been able to see so far in the years that we've been doing Fit42 is that people develop these new habits, they develop a new lifestyle, and they've been able to continue beyond that. So it's not one of these 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 week programs that are just short term. They get some change, they get lose some fat or whatever it might be, and then they just move on. to something else and they go fall right back into those habits. The secret to Fit in 42 is, from what I see, is the ability to really change those people's habits and lifestyle for the long term, for that when we're done with this project, when we're done with these 42 days, that we're still able to live the lifestyle. I mean, that's what I've seen on our end. And we've only been doing it a couple of years. You've been doing it for how long now?
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah. So
How many?
we're on number 50 right now. 50 times we've run it in our area. And I haven't counted with, the other gyms like yourself, how many times collectively we've done it. But no, that's what we wanted to create. Like the hardest thing is, as you know, we're in this to help people.
Yeah. And
we want, I mean, it's such an honor to be able to work with somebody and to have your fingerprints on them and know that, not only are they changing, but then they go home and then the household starts to change a little bit. And I'm sure you've heard it a lot where spouses lost weight just following what the participants doing. And then all of a sudden, once again, I told you what my underlying goal is that people are, the household's changing and they're creating these new experiences with their family and friends. And so then, I mean, what we've gone on to do now is like we have little day trips and things like that where we're going to rock climbing gyms. We're trying to expose people to different areas of fitness that might not have ever even been a thought. Spartan races. I mean, just, these people were once people who, once again, like I said, sat on the sidelines, and now they're saying, I could do that. And so that's what we're trying to facilitate. Just show them different looks, and something might stick with them that they really find a passion for. I mean, we have like 3 clients now who travel the country just doing Spartan races, and they're ranked. They're ranked for their age group in the world, and this is something they didn't grow up athletes. It is something they found in their early 50s. Like this isn't, and so we took them to a Spartan race. They absolutely fell in love with it, and now they're touring the world. So
that's awesome. That's fantastic. Those are the kind of things we look for. Big changes like that and little changes. So who is a typical person that participates in Fit in 42? Is there a typical person?
Yes. I mean, I would say the majority women, first off, middle-aged women between like 45 and 60 seems to be, if I had a room of 20 people, that would be about 15 of our participants. And I really think it's just because these women have dedicated their lives to their family, their children, their career, and through that process have lost sight of themselves for a little bit, taking care of everybody else. And then all of a sudden, now that the kids are growing up, they're a little more self-reliant, and these women are like, oh my goodness, like, who am I? Like, now that I'm not spending so much time on my children or my family, like, what are my interests now? Like, I'm not, and so we find that they want to kind of get back to maybe who they used to be, or just kind of change the trajectory of how things are going because they've been spending so much time on everybody else.
We found the same thing. That's the type of person that we've attracted in the couple of years that we've done this, that, they're finally paying attention to themselves. They've done all this other work for their family, for their husbands, for their careers. And, they realize that at some point in time, I need to take care of myself. And they come out of it feeling so great about themselves, with so much more energy and life, just life in general. They're just so much happier people when they're done with this process. And it's like you say, it's not all about how much fat that they lose. They're stronger. Their clothes fit better. They're sleeping better. They have more energy. They're more awake at work. I mean, just all these things that come from this program is really amazing, really amazing.
I just want to add to that too. I would say about almost half these women, at least up front, feel a little like selfish for wanting to take time for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a lot of conversations we have is explaining and just like, look, we've done this process so many times. You're going to end up being a better mom, a better spouse, a better employee, a better employer, because now you have more to give. So we try to explain, like, right now your gas tanks, a lot of the people we meet we ask them how they feel, and they're tired, and like, look, you're running on E. And believe it or not, exercising and then fueling your body right is going to give you more energy. So you'll be able to do more. And so this hour of self-care, not selfishness, self-care, is actually going to be, then you'll be able to take this energy and like focus it more on your family, friends, career, spouse. And but a lot of times there's a shift that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because they're the husband or so has to pick up the kids more or something like that, or take on a little bit more responsibility than he normally had. And so there's this feeling of guilt for that we typically have to address in the front end.
Let's talk a little bit about the Fit42 programming, because what we have found is at least half the people that come through our door have never exercised at all, or they haven't exercised in 20 or 25 years. And when they did, they just went on the treadmill at the gym for 40 minutes, or they're dealing with some, little aches and pains. As we get older, we all start to feel a little bit in the backs, the shoulders, whatever it might be. So talk to me a little bit about the methodology of the Fit42 program, because I find it works awesome with this type of person.
So, that's a great question. And, what I normally say is this, and this is funny because I feel this is the thing everyone fears the most. Mm-hmm. Is like, oh my goodness, this is a 6-day-a-week program. If you go on our website, we say like extreme accountability. Like, people they start getting frightened, like thinking it's some sort of boot camp. When in my opinion, the exercise portion is the easiest portion.
Right.
Because it's handled. There's nothing you have to worry about. And so when somebody comes into the gym, and we mentioned the typical client is a woman between like 45 and 60. There's not that many young people who do this program. So everyone's coming in with a history. There's a little wear and tear on the body. There might have been some surgeries in the past, some knee issues, back issues. So Fit42, we meet you where you're at. And honestly, like I said, so taking into account the knee issues, the back issues, the hysterectomies, all the things that you've gone through, all the history that your body has, we take that into account, and we just slowly just start, we have a prescription, as we would call it, just like a doctor. We're not going to bombard you. We need to get you moving, getting you feel more comfortable, getting you to trust us, that the fact that, look, like, we're on your side. We're coming alongside you. This isn't about us. So you coming into the gym, we have a structure to the programming, but that looks different for so many people. Right. We know, I can tell you what we're going to do on day 1. I can tell you on what we're going to do on day 37, but that doesn't mean that that's appropriate for you on that day. Mm-hmm. So that's when we start, and that's the beautiful thing. The beautiful thing about seeing you so often, seeing a client so often, you can tell by the way they walk through the door if they're having an off day or not.
Yeah.
And then you're able to shift. There might be days I need to come up to you and put my arm around you and just be like, you know what, let's let's just take it easy today. And there might be days where you come in and I could tell like you're ready to go, that we're going to do a little more. So it's very fluid. There's a system, of course, but it's very fluid, and it's all predicated on the client and meeting the client where they're at.
So with the exercise portion, got it down pat. People come in, we meet them where they're at. We meet them right where they're at, and we take them from there. Whether they've been exercising with us already, which some people have been exercising with us for years and they do Fit42, or whether somebody's coming in the door off their couch. We meet you where you're at.
I'm sorry. I love to tell this story that a 77-year-old grandmother and grandfather did Fit42 with their grandson, who was 19, who was in the NHL.
Wow.
So they were in the same room together, but that obviously looked completely different. And just like you said, having the history of having a client who's been working with you for a long time, day one for that person is going to look very different than day one for the person who just came off the couch, who said, you know what, I want to make a lifestyle change. But they're going to be in the same room together. And so, and in my opinion, that's the beauty of it, is there's all different shapes and sizes, but everybody is trying to improve. So that room is all about self-improvement. And and everybody feeds off that. And it's a really amazing thing to watch.
Let's talk a little bit about the nutrition, because nutrition is always one of the first questions when they come in. What am I going to have to eat? Am I going to have to eat, tofu and grass all day long? You're going to keep me from eating this and that. That was one of the biggest areas of change, because for many of them, they've been eating this way for 45, 50 years. And now we're going to ask them to change a little bit. And you need to change to become healthier. You need to change to make some change in your body composition. So give me a little bit of idea what you're talking about when we go with the nutrition aspect of it.
All right. So somebody who comes to the gym wanting a lifestyle change is going to have to change their lifestyle.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the easiest way to put it. So what we do is one of the first things I love to do, and this is all built into Fit42, is let's wipe the slate clean. And what I try to explain to people as I'm sitting down in front of them, talking to them and finding out their story and why they're in front of me to begin with, you tend to find out a lot of people aren't making the correlation between how they're eating and how they're feeling.
Right.
And so what I start to say is, like, you're not supposed to be tired at 2 p.m. You shouldn't have to have a Diet Coke or a Starbucks to rev you back up. So we're missing something somewhere. If you have, so I always say this, if you have a headache, like, you cause that headache.
Right.
Whether it's the way you're eating, your body is not liking the foods you're choosing, whether it's not enough sleep, whether it's a lack of water in your system, whether that's stress, like you picked that job, you married that guy, like this is all stuff that you've created. And what happens is your body is giving you feedback. It's telling you, I'm not liking this. And what we tend to do is throw an Advil in our mouth and shut it up. And then obviously you do that enough, the wheels start to come off. So what we like to do in Fit42 is wipe the slate clean. And what I mean is, let's just go back to nature. Let's cut out the Cokes and stuff like that, and let's just eat what nature had intended us to eat, and see how we feel. And what typically happens is the first week people are miserable because it could be a drastic change for them. And so they have headaches, they're grumpy, and we know this, so we know it's nothing personal when they come into the gym and they're snapping at us. And we understand, we've gone through this process thousands of times before. But what we try to do is bring an awareness to that. Kind of like if you've known it. So I have a friend, I always tell this story. I have a friend who smokes, and obviously he gets in my car, like, there's no smoking in my car.
Yeah.
Well, this guy sits there and twitches as we're driving around. And I say to him, like, dude, what's your deal? And he's like, well, I always have a cigarette when I'm in the car. And so what I try to get people to realize is that's a habit he created. He might not even want a cigarette, but his body expects a cigarette at that certain time. And so that's a lot of our lives are like that. I explain this. I say, if you have dessert, a treat after dinner every night, and then all of a sudden we join Fit42 and now we're just eating naturally without treats, your body is going to expect that meal after dinner. And that's when the battle comes in. And so what we try to do is bring awareness to this. Like, do you see what that little white stick is doing to you? Yeah. And like, nobody gets a headache from chicken breast. You know what I mean? Like, no one gets a headache from the salad. So it's like, what is this stuff doing to you that makes you crave it? Nobody craves a salad. Nobody says, man, I want a big salad right now. No. So it's like, we go into the science of nutrition a lot, and the fact that there's actually it's like a 20-point word in Scrabble. I forget the name of it, but there's actually scientists on staff with these major food conglomerates that are making the combination of the texture and the taste and the saltiness and the sweetness creates or releases hormones in the body that makes you crave it more.
Right.
I mean, I think it's Pringles that says you can't eat just one. Like, they're telling you, like, we formulated it. You will not eat just one. And so, unfortunately, like, we don't have that with chicken breast. We don't have that with salads. So my whole thing is we need to bring awareness to what you were doing. And we got to understand that there's going to be a transitional period. But I understand you might have a slice of pizza in your lifetime again, or some wine or something like that. But what I want you to do is realize how you feel after it. Because there's things we're going to eliminate that maybe you're fine with, but we don't know. So we're wiping the slate clean. And then day 43, maybe you have a slice of pizza and you're fine.
Right.
Cool. You can do that. Or maybe you have a slice of pizza and you feel bloated and your stomach hurts and you're like, wow, now, like, I love this food. Can I figure out a healthier version of it? And so it's just, we're just trying to bring awareness back to people, because there's people who are, I don't want to say like mindlessly eating, but they're just eating, not realizing the consequences.
Right.
And then that food's not serving them. Then they look in the mirror and they don't like what they see, or they don't like how they feel. And realizing, I mean, they say like almost 90% of diseases are self-inflicted.
Right.
And a lot of that is our lifestyle. And so that's what we're trying to change.
One thing that always amazes people, and when they do Fit42, is, first of all, that the food is good. The food tastes good. We're not making them eat anything crazy. It's food. We give them recipes. The recipes are all real good all the time. And the fact that they have to eat so much food to change their bodies, that it's not about eating less all the time and, eating like a bird, that you need to fuel your body to actually really make change. And it's something that people take out of Fit42 all the time, that they really can go out there and eat and enjoy themselves and have good food, feel good afterwards, have the energy. And it's amazing. It's amazing to them that, changing what they eat like that really changes so much of their lives.
Absolutely. And it's funny because in Fit42, we got to tell them, like, this is what the amount of food you should have been eating all along. And so, so we're just trying to get you back to like where you should be. And then once your results start to plateau, we have to feed you more. Like, we have to throw more fuel on the fire. And it usually goes against everything we've been taught throughout the years. And so that's a big shift. Like you said, it's a huge shift for people, is realizing like, oh, wow, like my results are starting to stall. I actually need to increase and add more fuel to the fire in order to burn more. So it's a mindset shift for sure.
Yeah. So just to shift gears here a little bit,
Sure.
For those people who might be watching this and are nowhere near a Fit42 affiliate or Fit42 gym, what can they do to become part of the Fit42 family?
Oh, awesome question. So, what was it? This year, so 2018, we just launched Fit42 Online because one of our biggest issues was, this is how we started licensing the program. We were doing the program, and then all of a sudden, people started flying in, and they were friends and family of our participants. And we're like, look, we can't be the only ones doing something like this. And turns out, to the extent we're doing it, we were. So then we started partnering with gyms like yourself, like-minded individuals who just want to change people's lives and help them live better lives. So we partnered with them, but we're still not everywhere. And so just this year, like, we were trying to figure out, and luckily now we have the technology to do it, a way we can do Fit42 remotely, and that's what we call Fit42 Online. And so if you go to fitin42.com, that you can learn all about that if you wanted to.
It's great because now you can reach more people. More people than just what's centered around the gyms that we have. How many affiliates are there now?
27.
47 affiliates. You guys have 4 gyms, looking to have open a 5th one. So that's somewhere around 50 places to go to. That's not enough to be able to reach the amount of people that we all want to reach, because our goal always is to help change people's lives. That's Absolutely. Why we're in this business. That's why we do what we do. We do this because we want to help people change their lives. And it's just fantastic to be able to figure this out, get it out there online for people to be able to use it and utilize it, change their lives.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like a knife in the heart when someone's like, man, I love this. You've changed my life. I really wish there was something for my sister in Tucson. And we don't have an affiliate in Tucson. We're not partnered with any gyms in Tucson. We're like, that person's just like is interested in something like this, but there's nothing for them. So that's, our whole thing is we're trying to create solutions, and I think we figured it out with being able to help people who are not near a gym running Fit42.
Well, I'm really proud of the fact that we're part of you guys, that we run your program in out of our facility for a few years now. We've been able to up the game a little bit as far as able to help some people in the world. I really appreciate that fact. And I'm not sure that people understand or realize how important we are as coaches in people's lives, because they come through our doors. They don't know how to exercise correctly. They don't know how to eat correctly for themselves. They don't sleep well. They don't get enough sleep. They don't hydrate themselves well. They're just a mess. They're just a mess. And when someone comes into our door, I know myself, I'm so honored that they've chosen me to be able to help them, because the next step is the doctor. And they've already been at the doctor. They may have already been there with the doctor, and the doctor says, you need to change something. And, that's a powerful thing. I know for me, for you, for guys like us in our group, that to be able to help people, change their lives and help people, just live better. We're only on this earth for just so long, man. Let's take advantage of it while we're here. Let's feel as good as we can. Let's get everything out of it that we can. It really is an honor to me. And when people come on board with us, I always thank them for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to help you change your life, because it means so much to us.
And I agree with everything you just said. And that's why I said in the opening, like, this is an honor for me, because I don't know your members personally, but I always ask to be in your secret Facebook groups with the Fit42ers, because this is like fuel for me. Like, as my daughter says, it fills my bucket to see people doing well, and knowing that this kid from Jersey, like, and his brother kind of figured this thing out. And those people are going to take what they've learned, and they don't realize how much of an impact they're making on their friends and families' lives. You know, there's so many people watching each member of our gym and learning little things from them. And so the more we can educate our member, the more they could help impact people, probably without them even knowing it. So it's a really, you know, noble thing to be sharing this information with people, and then, you know, through them, you know, little comments in passing, little tips in passing, or influencing other people's lives. So it's yeah, man, I don't know what, I couldn't do anything else but this. You know, this is what I was meant to do. And for me, I'm trying to figure out, the next step for us is figuring out how to get us all together. Like, that's really important to me, is like meeting some people from Burlington, Connecticut, who've gone through the process, and hearing how it's changed them, and all the other gyms, and just being like, wow, like, and then, but not only me getting to hear it, but the other people who've gone through it, and them sharing similar stories. And what's crazy, as you know, most people come into our gyms feeling like they're an outlier and they're the only ones that have these situations, when in reality, that's like most of our gym. Most of our gyms tired, you know, they don't have enough time for themselves, and they're just trying to make it work. And that's 90% of them, but everyone comes in feeling like they're the only one living this life. And so to build that sort of community is huge.
Yeah. Well, Casey, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the air with us today. It's great information. I hope some people can take advantage of this Fit42 program, if not with us, somewhere else online, whatever it is, because it is a fantastic program. You're doing an awesome job out there changing people's lives. You should be proud of yourself. You should feel good about yourself. I know I feel good being a part of what we're doing here. And I really appreciate you taking the time talking to me.
Of course, Chris. Anytime, man.
Okay, buddy. Take it easy. Keep changing lives. Thanks for watching. Look for us next week. We're going to give you more tips on how to get fit, feel younger, and live better. Have a great day.
You too.